Hello, and welcome to the series where I show you what I am doing to try and become a web developer. My name's Craig, and this is week 19. A very fun week where I've just been building a lot of projects, a few games, just a few kind of app things, and it's been really, really good. I always find building stuff's the best way to learn, and it's when I've broken something or when something doesn't work quite as I was expecting it, that's really when the learning happens for me. Going into Google and breaking it down and seeing which bits aren't working and why. So a lot of this week was Googling. Very fun. Not really, but educational at least. Let's dive in to see how much time I've spent on web development. Total time for the week is 24 hours and 5 minutes. A little bit more than last week. In terms of tutorials, I've spent 9 hours and 10 minutes. And for projects, that's 14 hours and 55 minutes. A lot more on projects this week. I was hoping to spend a little bit more time on web development, but Friday afternoon I went out with my family, which was really nice. It was good to get a little bit of a break. Let's dive in and see what I've been learning this week. This week, I was focusing a lot more on the Odin project, just continued work through the JavaScript fundamentals. I'm up to part 4, I believe now, of the fundamentals. I've done the rock, paper, scissors project, which I'll be going through later on in this video. What I found really interesting with the Odin project this week was debugging and pseudocoding. I kind of knew what pseudocoding was a little bit, but never really used it. And now I'm using it more and more. It does make things a lot easier. So that's something I'll be doing pretty much with every project. Just even like a rough skeleton of what I want the project to do and how. So those were some really good bits. I do need to do a lot more with debugging in the browser. I do a lot of console logging, but not so much doing any debugging in the browser. I keep looking over at my computer because my browser's open. Next up, I was following along on this YouTube course again from Free Code Camp, and it was about 10 or 15 React projects. I've only gone through the first 2. I watched and just coded along. But the second project of that, which I think they called it the Tours app, I believe, I kind of used that as the basis of my exercise app, which again I'll be going through shortly. At times in the video it was above my head, and that's to be expected. I haven't done that much with React, but a lot of it I was starting to get the grasp of and be like, okay, I know this bit. It's the technicalities and like the terminology I struggle with. I just think doing more of it will help eventually. Just putting in the hours. Then the next thing I've been learning is just continuation with the MERN course. That's been okay. Again, I'm picking up that a little bit, slowly building momentum, and there's things in the code I'm seeing where I'm typing it a little bit faster than the instructor, for example, and I'm just, the wheel's turning, it's getting there slowly, but it is getting there. And then finally, I didn't actually include this in my time for web development. I'm not too sure why, but I followed along with another YouTube video from Design Course, I believe it was. Basically a crash course in design using Figma. It was about an hour or so long, maybe an hour and a half. Really quite good. It was good to get a proper kind of look at Figma. And using components is pretty much a game changer for me. I was always going in and changing each thing, like each instance of a component before. I would just have it as like, I don't know, a button. I'd be going in and changing each one. Now it's just you change the component. So easy. But that's it for what I've been learning. Let's dive over to the computer and see what I have been building. I'm just going to apologize if this doesn't look quite right. I've connected my camera to my desktop this time and using a capture card. No idea if it's going to work. Let's see if it does. So this week, as I was saying, I did a lot more kind of projects. I've built 2 games, Tower of Hanoi and just this little kind of Reflex game. I've been going through the Odin project, and I've got the rock, paper, scissors game without any styling because that was the project. I've got that linked up here. I've created an API and done an exercise app, and I've started working on this kind of mock Tinder thing, Tinder style at least, Doggy Playdate. So the idea is like you want your dog to go out and play with other dogs, find dogs which are similar, and just go meet up. That's the idea of it. So first up here is just a link to the exercise API. I do want to change this slightly, so I need to add a kind of like a body weight true or false in here as well, because for example weights can be squats can be a type for hit, it could be a weight training one, or it could be body weight. So I do want to have that option in there. I also need to start finding some more images to put on, but I've got about 42 because I've started at 0. So 42 exercises. This API is used in my exercise app. So you've got the option to choose weights, hit, or body weights. The body weight one doesn't really do anything different to the weights. That's why I want to add in the additional property in my JSON file in the API. So the idea is you just select your number of exercises for body weights and weights, and you can click start workout. Or for hit, you can see your number of exercises, your work time, rest time, and number of rounds, and click start. You got that nice little loading screen, which is when it's trying to fetch the data from the API, and the list of exercises. Like I was saying in the introduction, I've almost based this off the tours page that I was doing from the YouTube tutorial. And the idea is once you've completed the exercise, you click complete and it removes it from the list. So then you can complete them all and reset. If we go into mobile view, it does change layout slightly. Not a huge deal, but a little bit. So, and there's a one with an image. So my bench press is the only one with an image, so I'm glad that one came up. Generally, I'm really happy with it. There are a few things I would like to change. When doing the hit option, it would be nice to get a timer going, so you can start a timer. Eventually, I'd actually like this as kind of a full stack project where you can read and write to the database, so you can get this week's exercise and you can say, okay, I've completed it with this amount of weight. I think that's the kind of end goal with this and what I'll be doing once I've completed the MERN course. We're really happy with it. It was fun building my own API and just building this all using React. I don't think the code is very clean, if I'm honest. I think there's better ways to do it. Next up, we've got 2 games, Tower of Hanoi and the Reflex game. So we'll start with Tower of Hanoi. Not the most appealing. I think visually it could do with a lot of work, especially on mobile. The disks, when they load up, get really squashed. I also kind of need to explain what the Towers of Hanoi game is. Some people I've talked to don't really know it, so it's just, I think a little bit of an explanation intro would be good. I'll just show you. So you type in how many numbers. I've said between 3 or 10. I think that's more to do with the height of the poles. So there's a counter there which counts how many successful moves you've done. And the idea is basically move these disks over to this pole, and fairly straightforward. Just move it. So you can click and re-click on the tower to deselect it, and it doesn't count as a move. It kind of resets it all. I was going to do the wrong move there. And once it's all moved over, let's just say you've won, restart. This really taught me a lot more about interacting with the DOM. So that was the Towers of Hanoi. Next up is this Reflex game, and there is something I definitely need to change on this. If I click start twice, it breaks it, so not ideal. But this was really fun. This is actually a canvas element, and I've got circles that go on the canvas, and you've got to click the circles when they appear, and they change color. Again, a little bit more of a description would be useful. So again, I'll just show you how the game works. So click start and it will randomly appear. Click change. And there's only 5 at the minute, but to say whether or not you're fast as lightning or you need a bit more practice. basically if you click it within a second of it appearing, you're fast as lightning. The circles do appear, I think, every second. Ideally, I'd want that to be a bit more random. So it could be like between a second, like 0.5 seconds and 1.5. That would be good. And there is a little bit of responsivity, I think. So I'd have to reload the page. So it does change depending on screen size, but not using a media query. I've done this in JavaScript because if I used the media query, it was kind of having a few issues with the on-click. And the on-click itself, I didn't know how to do. So that was a lot of Googling. It's still not clear in my mind, really. So if I wanted to do something like this again, I'd have to revisit this code and see how I can do it. Doggy Playmates, which I've started working on. The idea for this project is to just have a local JSON file, for example, and that would load different dogs once the swipes happened. So if we click cross, it goes to this side, and if you notice, this back card also animates. So that was quite nice, and then yes, goes to the other side. But I'm quite excited to do this kind of app. I think it's going to be quite fun. I do want to add a border actually on this card just to separate it. Yeah, so within the kind of local JSON file, I'm going to have a name property, an age, an image, the interest as a list, and just an about as a string. And once the swipes happened, it will update the card with a new dog. Generally happy with that. This little icon, the dog bone, these are both from Font Awesome with the background image, like background color. Doesn't quite sit as nicely as I wanted to, so I may work on that. And then finally, I've got the Odin Project Rock Paper Scissors game. There's no styling. I did add some text just to explain it a little bit, but that wasn't necessary. So go to the console and basically just type in game. It comes up with a prompt. If you put in something random, it actually says, okay, that's not right, redo it. Rock, I can spell right. So it's best of 5. So if you or the computer win 3 games, you've won. So paper, and it's case insensitive, so you can put in scissors or scissors like that, and it will still recognize it. That was fun. I've tried to break this project down into little components so I can easily update and maintain the code in the future. And again, I'm trying to comment my code as concisely as I can, but that still needs a lot of work, I'll be honest. That is everything for week 19. Like I say, a really fun week, and I've just really enjoyed it. So next week I'm going to continue finishing off the dog app. I want to get that on my portfolio and CV and start applying for some jobs. Do some updates to my portfolio, make sure my CV is actually linked on my portfolio. Just a few tweaks, adding more projects that I have done. Even if they're not brilliant, I want to get them on and just kind of fill out my portfolio for the time being. I want to complete another CSS battles. It's been a while since I've done a few of them. As always, continue with the Odin project, with the main course I'm taking, and hopefully do another front-end mentor challenge. Links to everything will be down below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. Hope you all have a good day, and I'll catch you later.